So when we talk about this true value and market value, we should also consider that value of stock prices are influenced by internal and external actions. Internal and external actions or environment. What are these internal environment? Managerial actions, companies' inner policies, operations, all this corresponds to internal environment. Then when you talk about external environment, we have economic environment, taxes, political climate that affects the operation of the business. Now this all affects the cash flow. What is cash flow? The return on the investment of the company. So here the nature of intrinsic value and market value is that in intrinsic value there is a true cash flow and true risk perception. True risk. But in perceived cash flow, it is either it might be higher or lower, depending on the information that is there in the market. Because one should also remember that the operation and the marketing and everything of the company is not known to the public. So the true nature of company or of the operations of the company will it be the managers. Will it be the managers? Not with the shareholders. Why? Because they are although they are the owner of the business, but they have limited information with them. Limited information. Due to which the perception of the cash flow of the company and the risk to which they are exposed to, the company is exposed to, will be limited with the shareholder. But managers have lots of information. Lots of information about the company, due to which they know the true position of the cash flow the company is going to earn in the future and what kind of risk they are exposed to. So intrinsic value has more association with the managers and the internal users of this information rather than the external users like such as shareholders who has limited information. Now when the gap between these two when the gap between these two is limited or is next to nil, then we can say market equilibrium. We can say that the intrinsic value is equal to the market value, which will be the market equilibrium. So the nature of the market will be true and fair. So let's take an example of true risk and return versus perceived risk and return. So consider this picture. In this picture we observe that now it depends on the perspective of the person. What's the perception? Now this person is observing and seeing it to be 6, but for this person it is 9. For this person it is 9. Now it depends on the user of this information and what seems to be real. So this is the question of perception. Now if we consider this as manager who has all the information about the company, then he is saying the correct figure or correct value as 9. But here say suppose this is shareholder who with limited information is saying that this is 9, and then investing in it, then he is investing more, right? Instead of investing 6 rupees, he is investing 9 rupees. So this is where market value is having difference from the intrinsic value. Often it overvalues the company. Overvalues the company. Instead of investing adequate amount, people invest more due to this kind of perception. This is where perceived risk and return factors affect the investment. Okay, and this is where true risk and return, okay, return concept is considered. Okay. Although this is a kind of a ethical concern, okay, it all depends with the manager, because manager has lots of information of the company. Okay, one should always remember that the information that the managers, CEO, CFO, COO has about the company is quite large, okay, in comparison of shareholder. Okay, but shareholder go with the dynamics of demand and supply. Okay, with demand. Okay, if that company is in demand, okay, the value of the company will go up. Okay, because they will be rushed to purchase, okay, rushed to purchase the shares, because everyone wants to invest in a successful, okay, profitable company. Okay, okay, but now say suppose company, okay, company has, okay, managers have more information about the company, and company has falsified, okay, falsified their books of account. Okay, their books of account, which is the only source for the shareholder to know about the operations of the business company with which they study the company and then they invest. But say suppose they falsified their, okay, books of account, okay, and they are showing their shares to be, okay, high, okay, high in value, their company is really profitable, they have so many investment, okay, but on paper, not in actual terms, okay, they have many kind of businesses, okay, and they raise more capital or money. Okay, what will happen? People will invest more in this company, and later on, when in actuality it is all dependent on the performance of the company, but since the company doesn't have any operations in actuality, okay, there are no other businesses they have acquired, okay, so they will not be able to deliver their, okay, their performance, and ultimately the value of the company will go down. Okay, and people who have invested in these businesses, okay, their share value will also go down. Okay, so this is where true risk and return principle is, okay, we can study this in a good way, okay, in a proper way. Okay, so for example, take consideration of Satyam scam. What happened here? Okay, Satyam scam, Ramalingan Raju, he falsified, okay, and created fictitious invoices, okay, 7,500 fictitious invoices, okay, invoices or vouchers which didn't exist, okay, which were existing in paper, but in reality there was no, okay, tangible kind of form of purchase or sales. Okay, so the total value of 7,855 crores of financial irregularities were found. Okay, so the company was reporting almost above rupees 5,000 crores, okay, of falsified profit. Okay, falsified profit in their books of accounts. Okay, so as an investor, when company is giving in their books of account that we are gaining, we are having profit, it will create a positive sentiment in the market, right? Positive sentiment in the market, and ultimately people will go to purchase these shares of this company, right? But in actual terms, this company was not earning any profit, but this was only in paper, right? So this kind of trouble, okay, created such a perception where the company is kind of moving on as a successful, okay, company, okay, and the growth of the company is really high in the future. Okay, just like HDFC if we compare. But in actuality, instead of HDFC showing the, okay, since HDFC were showing true, okay, books of account with whatever value they had were in actual terms, but here Satyam, what they did, they were showing, okay, falsified values of profit, due to which it was not kind of you can say matched with the actual performance. Okay, so what happened then? Okay, they recorded 899.8 crores of fictitious interest income. Okay, so this interest income was not happening in real terms. It was only shown in paper, and this happened with the help of auditors, independent auditors, and ultimately it created a large loophole in the corporate business, in the corporate share market, or you can say in the capital market of India, where SEBI was numbed. Since SEBI is the regulatory authority that regulates capital market. So this is where we should understand true risk and return versus perceived risk and return. We should always remember that managers have more information about the business. Shareholders have limited information, which is provided by the shareholder which is provided by the managers. How? By annual reports, and news agencies. So basically, shareholders rely on the information which is given by the managers. But managers have true form of information. Always remember that, due to which the true value of the shares are known to the managers. The true value of the shares. So if they go for an unethical move, they might go for showing their value or showing the profit of the company, falsifying them so that the value of the company will go up. So that the value of company will go up. So ultimately the market value of the shares will also go up. Shares will go up. So how they will gain? They will sell some of the shares. If they are holding some shares, limited shares, they might sell it. Or they might raise more shares. When the value is going up, to acquire more capital. Then they will reinvest that capital in some of the private businesses, or siphoning the funds in a different segment, without the knowledge of the shareholders. So here shareholders they fall prey to this kind of situation. So one should always understand true value of risk and perceived value of risk. There is a large gap there, for which we consider this as asymmetric information. Asymmetric information. Because information is not balanced, is not equal in both the sides. In one side the information is full, but in the other side the information is less. In symmetrical information, what happens? Both the parties are having same, or you can say equal information. But in asymmetric information, one side will have better position to know about the thing compared to the other side. So here take an example of this car. So when you consider this, the seller knows the exact value of the car. Suppose you go to a car vendor and ask for a car. Now the seller is pitching you the car at 3,000 pounds. But the actual value of the car is known to the seller. So how do you come to know about this? Until and unless the share shares you this information, it's not possible. So ultimately the buyer will purchase the car at $3,000 or pounds, thinking that the actual value of the car is this. But in reality, the actual value of the car is this. This is where it is ultimately passed on to the buyer, and the buyer ends up paying more, which was the case in Satyam. Ultimately, the share prices were shot up or shooting up in a better position, where Satyam raised more capital and siphoned the money to a different sector, okay, to their private consumption. Okay, so this is asymmetric information. Okay, it's a large scale concept. Okay, it's a large scale concept, okay, which is studied in financial management. And for this, okay, we have corporate governance, okay, where regulatory authorities have introduced, okay, voluntary policies for operations of the business. Okay, voluntary policies for disclosing the operations of the business, where buyer has an upper hand on knowing all the information that is known by the seller. Okay, so that there is no gap. Okay, no gap in between them. Okay, no gap between them. So intrinsic value is, we can say, an estimate of a stock's true value based on accurate risk and return data. Okay, so if you remember the risk and return concepts which we were sharing then, okay, risk is that uncertainty, okay, is the quantitative uncertainty of any investment to grow. Okay, so ultimately it affects the return. Okay, so when you have an accurate knowledge of the risk, it will affect your return, and ultimately it will showcase on the value of your share. Okay, so when we say accurate risk and return, it's intrinsic value. Okay, so market price, okay, of the stock is based on the perceived but incorrect information, okay, as seen by the marginal investor. So as I have told you, okay, shareholders, they receive the information from the managers. Okay, so possibly if the managers are focused in giving information which are based on false reports, okay, or it's based on giving edge to the managers, not to the company, for their personal gain, so perception of the shareholders will be wrong, right? Ultimately investors will end up in a highly valued firm whose actual value is quite less than what is perceived in the market. Okay, quite less than what is perceived in the market. So one should always remember to study how the shareholder come to know about the market, or come to know about the value, true value of the company, by looking into the company's annual report, okay, and looking into the policies that are followed by the regulatory authorities, okay, and the auditor's report, independent auditor's report, to know the actual picture of the company and whether they are presenting it in a proper form or not. Okay, so here market price, we should remember, based on perception. Okay, perception which is based on the incorrect information or limited information which is given to the marginal investor. Who is the marginal investor? Marginal investor might be you, me, anyone who is interested in investing in a stock, okay, or share. Okay, so equilibrium, where intrinsic value and market price is same. Okay, this is market equilibrium. Okay, here no party is gaining, okay, is gaining inadequately, or you can say taking advantage of the other. Okay, no party is taking advantage of the other. It's, in true sense, it is both the parties having symmetric information, not asymmetric information. Okay, so when we talk about determinants of value of equity share, we should always remember that whenever the gap between intrinsic value and the perceived value is limited, okay, it is helpful for the capital market in order to generate more confidence among the shareholder. Okay, shareholders will be encouraged more, as they will have true information of the company, and the corporate, okay, or the corporate firms will focus more in the operations of the business rather than focusing in the demand or the sentiments of the market. Okay, because at the end of the day, companies focus in financial performance which is based on their operational performance. Okay, ultimately they are going to sell their products and goods, okay, which is purchased by the consumers, and it is reflected in the profit of the company. and then it will reflect on the value of the company. It's not that the value of the company is related to the falsified reports, okay, falsified value of profit that is given by the manager, okay, given by the CEO or CFO. So coming back, okay, the primary focus of management, okay, is to take decisions, is to take actions to maximize the firm's intrinsic value, not the current market price. Okay, so how we to do that? By introducing new products, by introducing new services, okay, or acquiring or acquisition of existing companies, okay, or expansion of business where it is investing in other sectors, okay, like Reliance. Okay, Reliance is, in actual terms, okay, it's a petrochemical company. Okay, but now it has telecommunications, okay, telecom, it has textile, okay, electricity, so many, right? So this way a firm can increase its intrinsic value. Okay, how? By expanding its business, not by simply showing that it's getting this much value of profit, which is again informed to the shareholders, and ultimately shareholders are happy by that and investing in the company. Okay, so here the focus should be to maximize the firm's intrinsic value, okay, by expansion of the business, okay, performing well. Okay, so at the end of this entire segment, okay, I would like to give you the point of view here is that in financial management, value of the firm is regarded as the priority of the management. This can only be achieved when the firm is running efficiently with minimum cost and maximum return. Okay. And they can only do that by taking judicious and effective decisions which affect the performance of the firm. Okay, I have prepared certain questions for your self-understanding. So first one is, what's the difference between a stock's current market price and its intrinsic value? Should managers estimate intrinsic values or leave that to the outside security analysts? What is the risk-return trade-off? What is intrinsic value and market value of shares? Send in your answers via email to the alttutor@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and press the notification bell for more updates. And stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.